Look, you mentioned it before, a lot of volatility, right? There's a lot of things that can happen for teams to get in, right? So one of the games here I'm looking at is Houston, right? So Houston needs to win this game in the worst way. They're in the playoffs, which is good for them. They're playing at home against the pathetic Jaguars, who went back to Blake Bortles this week again, right? Jags are done. They don't want to be there. They're ready. They packed it in. They don't want to get hurt for next year. These guys are completely done. They want their vacations to start. They want the season to end. Okay. Now, Houston needs this game in the worst way, right? They are laying 7, but if they lose this game, they're going to go from winning a division and possibly getting a bye, right? If some things fall into their favor, to ending up as a number 6 seed, right? So I'm going to lay the points this week. I'm going to take Houston and in a blowout win against the Jaguars.
Yeah, I guess they're starting Blake Bortles, right? The Jaguars.
Yeah.
This week, they're in turmoil over there. What's their motivation? Do they want to have a last win there? It's
for what? For me, what is their motivation?
Well, Tom Coughlin, their vice president leader, he's always been that guy that wants to play and try every game. It's just always been like that when he coached the Giants. So I don't know, but if it was me coaching, I'd say lose. I'm more of a tank for draft pick kind of guy. I believe in working towards a goal. And doing what it takes to achieve a goal rather than just try to win and then think of other things.
Yes.
Even as a fan, I believe in that. But I know some coaches and some, I guess front office people don't. And I've seen that before. So I don't know. If I was going to take anything, I'd probably take the Texans, and probably not a bad idea to throw that in a teaser too. So I get what you're saying there. What was the line at? Did you say 6.5?
Yeah, 7.
Okay.
Someplace 6.5, someplace 7.
Okay.
So even at 7, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I think it's a good teaser at 7 too. Take it right down to 1, and you should be good. You should be good with that one.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on, I am going to go into San Francisco versus the LA Rams. The Rams are laying 9.5 points at home. Here's another one that I'm not quite understanding. The Rams haven't looked all that great since clinching their division. While the Niners have actually looked like they have some life left into them. The Niners has been outgaining a ton of their opponents over the last 8 to 10 weeks, and they've been losing because of the turnovers. But the last 3-4 weeks, Mullins has been playing way better and not throwing those picks. It's pretty clear to me that Sean McVay cares more about being healthy than whipping up on their rivals and getting into the playoffs healthy. I mean, they benched Gurley, and Gurley could have played last week, and I don't think he's going to play this week either.
Yep.
They even picked up C.J. Anderson, They did get some things right last week, but they played the worst team in football, the Cardinals, And so you're looking at the 49ers here. I think they have some motivational factors coming into this game. I think Kyle Shanahan wants to get a huge W to finish their year, and then they come into the next year's season with some momentum and some motivation. Garoppolo will be back at some point. I just like how they played the Bears last week a lot, and I think that they're going to want to take one to their division rival here. San Fran's pretty banged up, and we know that. Wide receiver and a couple of receivers are out, and they lost Breda, but they still have George Kittle, right, who has shown that he can carry the load all by himself. The guy's a tight end beast. I mean, I almost put him, not yet. He's not at Travis Kelce status yet, but he reminds me a little bit of Kelce. He was probably better than Zach Ertz was this year. Zach Ertz, the Eagles have been in turmoil, but look at how good Kittle's been. Back up Jeff Wilson to Matt Breda. He looks just as good to me. The kid's fast, strong, big heart. He seems every bit as good as Matt Breda. On the Rams side of things, it's looking like Todd Gurley like I said, it's looking like he's going to be benched, and we obviously mentioned that. He's worth about 3 points in my book. You know, a lot of people were talking about him for MVP. If a quarterback is worth 6 or 7 points, I think Todd Gurley is worth up to 3 points. How big of a part he was to that offense. Safety, LaMarcus Joyner. He's going to be sitting out this game most likely for the Rams. Okay, I like the way the 49ers have been playing their last 3 games. They beat Seattle, they beat the Broncos, and they played tough against the Bears. They weren't as good as a team, but they played them tough. I'm going to happily take the points here in this division game. I think San Fran wants to take them out of first round bye contention. I'm going to take them plus the 9.5 points. And, I think the Rams are fine winning by between 4 and 7 points themselves. So I like the Niners.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I did a little bit different than you on this game, right? This to me is a half game, right? Meaning I'm going to take the first half only, right? Not the full game. And look, the Rams need to get out there. They need to play hard. I know Gurley's going to be out. The spread here is 10, right? Now, some places 10, 10.5, some places 9.5, but let's just go with 10, right? For the first half, the Rams are laying 6.5 for the first half, which isn't terrible. It's a touchdown, right? So if they up by a touchdown, you win, right? Easy math. So even though Gurley's going to be out, which is going to make it harder for the Rams, but this is their test, and they really need to blow out the Niners in the first half, right? If the Bears' score is huge in the favor of the Vikings, right? So now they're going to keep their eye on the Bears. If the Rams do lose this game and the Bears win, we know that the Bears are going to get the bye and Rams have to play, right? So in this case, I think the Rams are going to come out and really blow them out in the first half, right? And the ending score, they're not going to care about, but it's more about this first half. Make sure they get their points in, and hopefully the Bears go into halftime saying, God, the Rams are up 21-0 here. Why don't we just bench our starters, right? So for me, that's the way I'm looking at it, is the Rams are going to have to come in here, put a big first half score up, and really go up quick there in the 49ers. I know they're playing well, but ultimately it's the Rams that do have to win this here first half for me, and I'm going to lay that 6.5.
Yeah, and I love where you're going with it. The derivative market is huge for this for the end here, because all teams that they're going to try at least the first half, like the Chargers, the Kansas City Chiefs, the Rams, possibly the Bears, and then kind of see where the other teams are at halftime, especially when the games are being played at the same time. So there's some good first half bets you can make, and maybe you can fade them in the second half. So remember that, if you think the Rams are up by a lot at the first half, and that you can possibly bet the Vikings in the second half against the Bears, because they're probably going to take out their starters. I would. There's no way I wouldn't. If I'm not playing for anything, I don't want these kids to get injured. Hell no. That'd be awful. And so I definitely like where you're going there, and I have a play like that as well. I'm going to go with Dallas versus the New York Giants next. The Giants are laying 6 points. So everyone knows that Jason Garrett has been on the hot seat for like 3 years. Literally. His ass is probably burned off by now. Some thought he would be fired mid-season, and he saved his job by winning the division. He really did. At least temporarily, right? He might have to win a playoff game. He has one more opportunity to get fired here. He can play his starters, Zeke Elliott, Dak Prescott, Zach Martin, Sean Lee, and Amari Cooper, and let one of them get banged up in a completely meaningless game just to beat the Giants, And I think that would actually fire him possibly before the playoffs if Ezekiel got injured against the Giants. Now I've never been a huge Jason Garrett fan, but I don't even think he's this stupid, man. I don't. I could be wrong, but I do not think he's this stupid. I also know this could be Eli Manning's last start as a New York Giant in New York. Lots of rumors about him going with his ex-coach, Coughlin, over to the Jaguars. There's some rumors about that. Plus, the Giants want to get younger. So I see some motivation here for the Giants. Now, I know Odell Beckham's out. and all, but Eli was able to topple the Redskins without him. I mean, topple. They scored 40 points in like 2 quarters. I think the Giants will want to finish with a bang. They got their running back finally with Saquon Barkley. I'm laying the points with 6 here. Yeah, and I'll tell you this: if I'm wrong, then you go right ahead and fire the Cowboys coach.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's a good play.
Awesome.
All right.
Any other plays, buddy?
Yeah, I got one more play here, and it's going to kind of mimic here going with the 49ers and Rams pick. But Bears at Minnesota this week. Look, again, this is another first half game for me only, all right? If the Rams are up big at half, I can see the Bears starters getting pulled for the second half so they don't get hurt, okay? The first half, Bears, they're getting 2.5 points, right? So I think it's when the line opened up, it was 5.5. Now it's down to 4.5, right, for the full game. But right now it's at 2.5. I can see the Bears clamping down on defense, playing smart on offense, pretty conservative, not showing too much, and going into halftime with the lead, right? So I'm going to take the Bears at getting 2.5 points. If they're looking at that scoreboard and the Rams are down, they're going to start ratcheting up some things and wanting to get that first week bye. And on top of it, knock Minnesota out of the playoffs completely. That would be a nice thing for them, right? So there's a couple of different motivations here for them. Even the Eagles getting in, right? The Nagy and Peterson are good friends, right? So does he want to help Peterson out and knock Minnesota out so they don't have to play him again next week, and then they're going to go in? So there's a lot of motivation for the Bears as well, right? So, but for me, it's going to be a first half play only, and I'm going to take the Bears getting 2.5 points.
No, I mean that you took the words out of my mouth. That was my last play as well. The and we're both Bears fans. This is kind of a no brainer for us. Yeah. Matt Nagy is friends with. He's friends with the Eagles coach, and I think and Doug Pearson joked around saying he called Matt Nagy, but actually people think he was serious. Said, "Go beat the Vikings here." Now, Matt Nagy said himself, if the Rams are blowing out the Niners, then he will possibly bench those players. So there you go, right there. But and from a power ratings, the Vikings should only be a 1-point favorite at home, because the Bears are about a 2-point favorite on a neutral field. But it's at 4.5 because of those motivational questions, and that was what makes it so perfect for the first half. I think the Vikings have been playing solid with Dalvin Cook and their new offensive coordinator Kevin Stefanski. Who was a Pat Shurmur student. He's a Pat Shurmur guy, so he's pretty good. I think the big question here is, will the Bears be motivated for the full game? The answer is yes, but it's guaranteed for the first half. So I'll take that line value. I got plus 2.5 Chicago, and I got it at plus 100. So I got the even money on it. I like it. Totally agree with your call right there. So let's see what happens with that. But I want to quick throw out a teaser to everybody before we get into our next event. I'm going to tease the Philadelphia Eagles down to minus 0.5, and they're playing the Redskins, right? And it's a must-win for the Eagles, obviously. And I'm going to tease the Chargers down to minus 0.5. So I think, the Chargers are still playing for home field, and a lot of people like the Chargers in the first half. So if you can tease that, I'd be completely fine with that. Or both teams in the first half are probably good plays. But right now, just for the full game, I think the Redskins are a pretty bad team, and Denver is in injury shambles right now. Hence the the big spreads here. So I'm going to tease those two teams, and I think this could turn out to be a pretty solid play.
Yeah, this week, I don't remember a time where there's so much that could happen in the last week of the season, right? I mean, one team wins, The other one loses. They're going from number 3 or 2 seed to almost out of the playoffs coming in at 6. It's going to be a crazy week. It's going to be fun too. So
yeah, it's a little bit more complicated on the